So we have two pieces of Unicronian or Unicron-related news here in the fandom, and one of them comes from that of Flint Dille's Facebook page, and it's a very interesting post that he did that not a lot of people have been talking about. For people who don't know, Flint Dille was one of the guys who was pretty much in charge of rewriting the script for the 1986 movie, and he kind of gets all kinds of credits for like being the story consultant for that. And then, of course, he would later go on to be the story editor for the third season of G1 Transformers, as well as being the guy who wrote Five Faces of Darkness. Now, Flint Dille recently posted on his Facebook, and you know what? I'm just going to read it, and then we could break this down piece by piece. He wrote here, "Get Unicron now. If this is funded, Ron Freeman and I have committed to teaming up on a new Transformers G1 project featuring Unicron. No guarantee on to what, but we'll do it. Okay, I know $600 is a lot of money. My wife was kind of startled. Still, this is a one-shot at creating the biggest action figure in history, and I'm trying to get them to promise to get me the head." Whatever that means. So, let's break this down. Number one, he mentions Ron Freeman. Ron Freeman was actually the original scripter for the 86 movie. His script was vastly different than what the final product was, but he pretty much created the skeleton for what would be the story for the 86 movie. And he still gets credited as the writer of the 86 movie, even though the final product really wasn't the same as what he started with. And Flint was the one who rewrote Ron's script, essentially. So they have a little bit of a connection there. So the two of them, if Unicron gets funded, they say here that they're committed to teaming up again to work on a Generation 1 Transformers-related project featuring Unicron. So that's really intriguing. I wonder what it would be, because we haven't really had many projects that really go back to that old story of Generation 1. Would it be animation? Would it be a comic book? Would it be a flash animation, a short series? Who knows? Something similar to like what Machinima did? We don't know. One thing he says here, one shot at creating one of the biggest action figures of all time. Sorry, Flint. Love you, brother. But Unicron is far from one of the largest action figures of all time. He's definitely one of the most complex for his size, because in terms of like action figures that are way bigger than him, I mean, I could just even think of something recent, like the Nickelodeon Ninja Turtles cartoon had those, like, I think they were like 48 to 50 inches tall Ninja Turtle figures, which were like massively huge, and they were articulated and they had the weapons and everything. I mean, again, it wasn't as super complex as, say, Unicron with transformations and tons of parts, but I mean, that thing is, it's almost double the size of Unicron in robot mode. You know, Unicron is what, 27? I think it is 27 inches we have from bottom to horns, and the Leonardo, the Raphael, and all of them were like 48 to 50 inches. So, I mean, you're kind of stretching it there, Flint. But I mean, again, semantics aside, still would be really cool to see Flint do something in relation to the brand. Primarily because, I mean, he hasn't really done much out of small little projects here and there. And it'd be cool to see him return and do something. I mean, I think he did some stuff with IDW. So chances are, I'd take a guess, probably this would be a comic book related project, which would be would kind of suck. I'd like to see something more of an animation nature in relation to Generation 1, but him and Ron getting back together, if Unicron happens, sure. I kind of dig that. That'd be kind of cool to see. And I mean, just might as well, since we're here, give a little update. Let's see. Unicron, as of this recording, 21 days, 10 hours left. 5,670 backers of a needed 8,000. So still trugging along slowly, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll get there. Maybe there'll be some shadow backers at the end. The second piece of news is in relation to, and people were asking me about this, was it seems that when I talked about the Zeta Toys transformation video, not too long after that, it got taken down, and it was taken down specifically by Hasbro. And some people are interpreting this as kind of Hasbro finally attacking a third party or admitting that the Zeta Toys one is affecting the sales of the product? Yes and no. Apples and oranges. I do feel that probably from Hasbro's perspective, yeah, they feel that this is hurting Unicron's sales and stuff. But at the same time, I feel that it's apples and oranges. I think that they're two different products, despite the fact they're being the same character with the same alt mode. I think they're sold to two different kinds of audiences. In the same way that people who really stand behind, say, Giant or Hercules, the third-party Devastator, are not the same people that went out and ran out and bought the Combiner Wars huge Devastator that we got a couple of years after that. It's two different kinds of markets with two different kinds of budgets and age groups, I guess is the best way to put it. Maybe not age groups, but just parts of the fandom. And so, I mean, the people that would buy Unicron, the third-party one, the Dark Nova, or whatever it's called, the Nova Star, whatever it's called there, I don't know. I keep forgetting the name at this point. Whatever, the Zeta Toys one. I think that something like that is aimed at a very specific market, and I think the only way that would really make a difference, really in terms of those two markets being one, was if the HasLab one never existed. And I keep saying this. If the HasLab one never existed and this third-party one was the only thing and it just came out out of nowhere, everyone would be behind this. Everyone would be excited about it. Non-third-party people, third-party people. But now that we have that option, it's the same thing where it's like, imagine if Combiner Wars Devastator came out and then we had no third-party Devastators up to that point, and then a couple days later, like, Giant came out. You know, you'd have that separation there. You'd have people that are willing to pay for one, people that are willing to pay for another. Now, granted, there's a whole bunch of other layers to that argument. Like, of course, the window of opportunity to buy HasLab Devastator, the price, you know, the fact that there's the whole backer system, which is creating all kinds of drama too, as opposed to, say, a third-party product that, in all honesty, has an open window as long as it needs to be, an unlimited amount of product as long as it needs to be because it's online only. It doesn't have to worry about sitting on a shelf at retail for a limited amount of time. And again, a fluctuating price depending on what they need to do. So, I mean, it's hard to compare the two to something that we've had previously in Transformers from a third-party versus official standpoint. But it seems that now there's the drama because, number one, we have the kind of the COD on Zeta Toys with their figure, along with specific videos being taken down. None of my videos have been taken down at this point, but I think I also have kind of a good relationship with Hasbro, despite the fact that I talk very real about them a lot of the time. I have a lot of good friends over there. So even though I'm very honest about some of the stuff that they've done that hasn't been very great, I think they appreciate how I take a very level-headed approach at it and why my videos have not been taken down about third-party stuff, and specifically the Zeta Toys one. But that's here, no there. That's a whole other story. But it's interesting what's going on right now at Unicron and what's being developing. But again, just two pieces of news. Let me know what you think about it and all this craziness.